They say good people are always loved. Cute theory. Reality check? You can be a saint, feed the homeless, donate your liver, bake gluten-free brownies, and still end up the villain in someone's sad little soap opera. Here at Buddhist Wisdom for the Elderly, we don't sugarcoat it. We smile, bow politely to the madness, and whisper, it's not about being liked, it's about being free. In today's video, you'll stumble into lessons you bump into every day, but probably never realized were life rafts. Why emotions trip you, why insults sting, why silence saves you, and what ancient monks would say instead of screaming back. One lesson you must hear? Part 7. Getting comfortable being the villain. Because once you do, you stop selling your soul for bad reviews, and you start living like a free, joyful criminal in a world full of exhausted lawyers. Stick around. Each part gently slaps you with what life throws, why it messes with you, a story so real it hurts, and how to laugh your way through instead. If you like surviving life with humor and a little Buddhist sneakiness, hit like and subscribe to help us reach 1,000 subscribers so we can keep handing you peace disguised as jokes. Part 1. Your emotions are like toddlers. Stop letting them drive. Let me ask you a question most people are too polite to ask. Would you give your car keys to a screaming, sticky-fingered 3-year-old hopped up on orange soda? No? Then why, my friend, do you let your emotions drive your entire life? You see, emotions are a lot like toddlers. They mean well. They're colorful. They're full of raw, unpredictable energy. But sweet heavens, they cannot be trusted behind the wheel. 1 minute, your inner joy is driving. Windows down, music up, cruising through life. The next, inner rage jumps into the driver's seat, presses the horn with one hand, and throws your dignity out the window with the other. Most people live this way without even realizing it. One harsh comment, and suddenly they're spinning out emotionally like a clown car at the county fair. When you live at the mercy of your emotions, you aren't living. You're hostage taking yourself daily. Somebody cuts you off in traffic, you're furious for an hour. A neighbor gossips about your garden, you're spiraling into existential despair before dinner. Your adult child forgets your birthday, you're convinced the universe has personally cursed you. This is not freedom. This is what I call emotional drunk driving. And most people over 60 are still unknowingly doing it, even after decades of believing they're mature adults. Here's the first small but life-changing shift. Feel the emotion, but don't hand it the keys. Picture this. You're standing at the checkout line. A kid ahead of you drops a gallon of milk, and it explodes everywhere, including on your shoes. Your first instinct? Probably rage, or a passive-aggressive sigh loud enough to rattle the cereal boxes. But if you pause, if you notice your anger trying to grab the wheel, you can just calmly acknowledge, there's my old friend, irritated grandparent energy. Cute, sit in the back seat, daddy's driving. You smile, you step aside. You let life be messy, like it's always been. And you keep your clean heart, even if you lost your clean shoes. That's the beginning of real freedom. In Buddhist practice, we talk about the mind as a wild monkey. But I prefer toddlers. They're cuter. And if you've ever raised one, you know the full horror. Training the mind isn't about killing your emotions. It's about becoming the patient, slightly exasperated parent who knows better than to let chaos take over. When sadness wails in the back seat, pat it gently on the head. When anger kicks the seat behind you, offer it a juice box and drive on. You don't argue with toddlers. You don't take their tantrums personally. And most importantly, you don't let them grab the gear shift when you're merging onto life's freeway at 70 miles an hour. Here's the secret nobody tells you. You will never stop having toddler emotions, no matter how wise, spiritual, or wrinkly you get. The goal is not to be some perfect marble statue of Zen. The goal is to be the kind of joyful, slightly deranged grandparent who smiles at the chaos, loves their messy little monkeys, and still gets home safely every night. Because real peace isn't about feeling nothing. Real peace is when you're surrounded by milk spills, loud toddlers, and your own cranky thoughts, and you still laugh, drive, and make it to dessert on time. Part 2. Master the art of smiling at insults. Like you know something they don't. You know what's funny? Most people who insult you aren't even trying to hurt you deeply. They're just casually tossing emotional grenades because they're unaware, unhappy, or, let's be honest, unimaginative. But here's the ancient secret the Buddha knew, your sharp-witted grandmother knew, and every elderly cat sitting in a sunbeam knows. The real power is not in counterattacking. It's in smiling so serenely that the other person starts wondering if you know about the body they buried in 1972. When I was younger, I had an uncle who was the master of suspiciously serene smiles. At every family gathering, there was this one guy, we'll call him Cousin Earl, who loved taking little stabs. Must be nice not having to worry about working hard at your age. Looks like someone gave up on exercise decades ago. The family braced for impact every time. But my uncle, he never raised his voice. He never defended himself. He just gave this slow, knowing smile, the kind that said, "I've seen things that would curdle your hair dye, Earl. Your opinion ranks somewhere between a fruit fly and the neighbor's yappy dog." And you could physically see Cousin Earl start to twitch. Because when you don't react, you force people to deal with their own noise. And most people aren't equipped to hear their own echo chamber. My uncle won every argument without even participating. He became legendary in our family, not because he fought back, but because he mastered the devastating art of being unbothered. Here's the truth. Most people who try to insult you expect you to get flustered, defend yourself, argue back, apologize, anything to confirm their importance. When you don't react, when you smile like you're in on some cosmic joke they're too small-minded to understand, you short-circuit their whole attack system. You rob them of what they crave most, your attention, your outrage, your energy. Suddenly, they're like a mosquito who landed on a statue, bitter, irrelevant, and weirdly embarrassed. In Buddhist psychology, the ego thrives on conflict. The ego loves drama. The ego loves defending your story. The ego is addicted to being right. Every time you correct someone, defend yourself, or prove your worth, you're basically standing in the middle of a forest fire, trying to blow the flames out with your mouth. It doesn't help. It just makes you look silly and out of breath. Instead, imagine yourself as a giant ancient tree. Someone hurls an insult at your trunk. You don't dodge, you don't flinch. You just stand there silently photosynthesizing, minding your own sacred business. Let the termites of petty insults exhaust themselves, gnawing at bark they'll never scratch. Next time someone lobs a passive-aggressive jab your way, don't defend yourself. Don't explain yourself. Don't lower your energy field to match theirs. Just smile. A slow, kind, almost pitying smile. The kind of smile that says, if you knew how little your opinion mattered to my liberation, you wouldn't waste your breath. Remember, life is too short to enter verbal mud wrestling matches with people who aren't even aware they're covered in mud. You owe it to yourself and your blood pressure to master the most devastating power move of all. Smiling like you know a secret they'll never understand. Because you do. Part 3. Approval is a scam, and you're the last one to realize it. Imagine this. You're standing in the middle of your own life. A grand, complicated, messy life you've built over decades. And you're holding out a little cup like a street performer, begging strangers to drop coins of approval into it. Maybe today, somebody likes your new haircut. Maybe tomorrow, someone says you're looking well for your age, which is really just elderly code for, I'm surprised you're still upright. And when they do, ding, you get a tiny little high. The problem? The cup never stays full. Approval is a scam, a pyramid scheme for the soul, and we all fell for it. I once knew a woman, let's call her Elaine, who spent her whole life doing things just to be liked. She baked pies she didn't even like for potlucks she hated. She joined committees she despised because she thought it would look good. She smiled through conversations where people talked to her like she was a decorative plant. And you know what she said to me once? I feel invisible, like no one really sees me. Because here's the cosmic joke, delivered without a hint of mercy. The more you chase approval, the less people respect you. When you shrink yourself to be likable, you don't earn love, you earn forgettability. Seeking approval is like drinking seawater when you're thirsty. It feels good for half a second. Then it just makes you more desperate and confused. The real truth? Most people's opinions are formed by their own insecurities, misunderstandings, and bad cholesterol levels. Yet we hand over our peace like currency, hoping to buy what can never be bought. Validation, security, a neon sign that says, "You're okay." But here's the thing. You were okay before they even noticed you existed. You're still okay when they don't. One of my favorite Buddhist teachings, paraphrased through the lens of bitter old age, is, nobody is thinking about you nearly as much as you fear. They're too busy worrying about their own thinning hair, their own credit card debt, their own embarrassing mole they keep meaning to get checked out. You are not the center of anyone's universe except your own. And once you realize this, you're free, wildly, uproariously free. Because if nobody cares, you can finally stop performing and start living. Next time you catch yourself fishing for compliments or altering your truth to fit someone else's expectations, pause. Ask yourself, would I still want this if nobody clapped? If the answer is no, drop it. Bake the pie because you like the smell, not because the neighbors think you're sweet. Wear the wild, ridiculous scarf because it makes you feel like a wizard, not because it's fashionable. Speak your truth even if it gets you fewer likes, fewer invitations, fewer nods. Because nods are cheap. Freedom is priceless. Let me put it this way. Approval is a carnival prize. You spend a fortune playing rigged games all night. And if you win, you get a giant stuffed bear that smells like regret. The people who truly matter will love you whether you're applauded or booed. And the ones who don't, they were just passing tourists in the theme park of your life anyway. Smile, tip your hat, walk away. Because you have better things to do than audition for a role in someone else's bad movie. Part 4. Criticism is just Yelp reviews from miserable tourists. Let me save you a few decades of heartache. Criticism is rarely about you. It's almost always about them. And them, well, them are often not the most reliable narrators. If you truly listened to every piece of criticism you ever received, you'd be a walking contradiction of everyone's unresolved childhood trauma and bad taste in wallpaper. Criticism is just Yelp reviews from miserable tourists wandering through your life like confused pigeons, complaining that the Grand Canyon didn't have enough parking. I used to teach meditation at a local community center. One day, after a session where half the class literally fell asleep in their chairs, a huge success if you ask me, a woman came up to me afterward with fire in her eyes. She said, "You're too slow, too boring, you should make it more exciting." Exciting? Meditation? What was I supposed to do? Set myself on fire during the breathing exercise? In that moment, it clicked. People will review you based on the tiny, chaotic movie playing in their own head, not based on anything real. She wasn't angry at me. She was angry that her mind was so restless that sitting still for 20 minutes felt like dying. Not my circus. Not my monkeys. Here's the magic trick. Whenever someone criticizes you, pause and ask, is this coming from a wise traveler or a lost tourist throwing sand? If it's wisdom, good, useful, humble, accept it with gratitude. If it's petty, nasty, confused noise, smile internally, bow slightly, if only in your mind, and let the pigeons flap away. Most people criticize because they don't know how to manage their own disappointment. They're projecting their regret, fear, or jealousy onto you. They're bored, and bored tourists throw the worst Yelp reviews. In Buddhist practice, the concept of right view teaches that your clarity shouldn't wobble every time a stranger sneezes on it. But modern life? Modern life says, be democratic, collect everyone's opinion, take a poll before you breathe. Ridiculous. You are not a town hall meeting. You are not a suggestion box at the DMV. You are a temple. A slightly cracked, aging, hilariously sacred temple, but a temple nonetheless. You don't need every tourist with a loud opinion spray painting graffiti on your walls. Here's a quick system. Every time someone criticizes you, 1. Ask, does this person embody the life I want? If yes, maybe listen. 2. Ask, are they saying this with kindness and clarity? If yes, maybe learn. 3. If no to both, smile like an old monk who just heard a goat try to recite poetry. Bless their confused little heart. Move along. Life's too short to argue with people who don't even know why they're shouting. Here's the truth. Your life is not a roadside diner needing a 5-star Yelp review. It's a sacred, one-night-only performance, and half the audience is drunk and lost anyway. Perform your heart out. Dance your weird, beautiful dance. Ignore the critics who thought they bought tickets to a different show. Because at the end of it all, the only real review that matters is the one you give yourself as you walk quietly home under the moon. Part 5. Pressure reveals who's a statue and who's just pigeon food. You know how everyone likes to pretend they're statues of wisdom and strength? Calm, noble, serene. Until life's pigeons show up, until pressure shows up, until the real circus comes to town. And suddenly, they're not statues anymore. They're pigeon food. Wet bread, soggy crackers, crumbs blowing in the slightest breeze. Pressure doesn't create cracks in people. It reveals the cracks that were already there. I once watched a friend, let's call him Larry, absolutely self-destruct because he couldn't find the TV remote. 1 second, calm, retired gentleman. The next, full Greek tragedy, shouting at the heavens like Zeus himself betrayed him. All over, a remote. You see, Larry wasn't angry about the remote. The remote was just life tapping him on the shoulder, whispering, "Hey buddy, all that bottled up frustration you've been ignoring for 40 years? Time to blow." Pressure isn't an enemy. Pressure is life's way of showing you where you're still breakable. Here's a shift that changed everything for me. When pressure shows up, instead of clenching, snarling, or rehearsing angry comebacks in the shower, I treat it like a pop quiz from the universe. Oh, interesting, my patience is being audited today. Let's see how much credit I've got saved up. The moment you stop seeing pressure as an unfair attack and start seeing it as training, something wild happens. You stop being scared of it. You get curious about it. And curiosity, my friend, is a hell of a lot more peaceful than chronic outrage. According to Buddhist philosophy, most suffering comes not from the events themselves, but from our stubborn fantasy that life should be comfortable. Pressure is like the universe handing you a badly wrapped birthday gift. You open it up, and it's a box of insults, deadlines, broken promises, and lost remotes. You can cry about it, or you can laugh, bow slightly, and say, "Nice one, karma. See you at the next level." Because here's the punchline. Life never promised you a comfortable chair. It only promised you a chance to wake up. Next time life throws pressure your way, 1, pause. Instead of reacting, treat it like an unexpected pop quiz. 2, smile internally. Pressure is showing you where you still need training, and that's a gift. 3, act intentionally, not emotionally. Make your move based on wisdom, not woundedness. Bonus trick, when you feel yourself about to snap, whisper silently, "Congratulations, you found another place I forgot to let go." It disarms the whole situation. It even makes pressure kinda funny. In this life, you have 2 options. Be the proud, immovable marble statue until life's pigeons drop something nasty on your head. Or be the old monk in the corner, laughing under his breath, letting the pigeons land wherever they want, because he knows none of it sticks anyway. The statue demands to be respected. The wise one? He doesn't care. He's too busy being free. And in the end, that's who walks away the happiest, even if his robe has a few feathers on it. Part 6. Train your mind, or your mind will train wreck you. Here's a hard pill to swallow, chased down with a shot of dark humor. If you don't train your mind will train wreck you. It will not be subtle. It will not be merciful. It will be a full-blown, nose-diving, wheels falling off catastrophe. And you will wonder, somewhere between the burning debris of your dignity, how did I end up here screaming about a plastic bag stuck in a tree? Simple. You let an untrained mind hold the steering wheel. I once met a woman, let's call her Diane, who had everything going for her. Decent health, loving grandkids, a cozy little house filled with scented candles and guilt-free snacks. But inside her head, it was a Category 5 hurricane every day. What if the roof collapses? What if my son secretly resents me? What if the economy crashes and I have to live in my car eating canned peaches? Diane's outer life was fine. Her inner life was a flaming clown car, and it didn't matter how many blessings piled up around her. Her mind, untrained, wild, untethered, twisted everything into a new apocalypse. She wasn't living, she was surviving the hypothetical future full-time. Here's the real kicker. Your mind is not naturally your friend. Left alone, it's a loud, scared, over-caffeinated intern making up emergencies so it feels important. If you don't train it, it will assume the worst. It will hallucinate threats. It will whip you into emotional froth over problems that don't even exist yet. Training your mind isn't about making it positive all the time. Good luck with that. It's about making it disciplined, calm, alert, clear. Like a wise, slightly suspicious old dog who knows better than to chase every car it sees. In Buddhist philosophy, we say, the mind is a wonderful servant, but a terrible master. I like to think of it this way. Your mind is your roommate. Sometimes it leaves dirty dishes of anxiety in the sink. Sometimes it blasts terrible music at 3 a.m., usually titled, "Regret about that thing you said in 1992. Sometimes it screams that you're about to die because you misplaced your wallet. You wouldn't let a crazy roommate run your entire house, would you? So why let your mind run your whole life unchecked? You are not your thoughts. You are the one watching them, the one who gets to choose whether to laugh, delete, or send them back to the kitchen with a firm no, thank you. Mind training isn't mystical. It's annoyingly simple. 1. Catch it early. Notice when your mind starts catastrophizing about things you can't control. 2. Label it. Silently say, there's my drama department again. 3. Redirect gently. Bring your attention back to the present moment. The smell of your coffee, the feeling of your feet on the ground, the miracle of still breathing after everything you've survived. Do this every time your mind tries to hijack your peace. Every time. No punishments, no self-loathing, just a firm, patient retraining. Like teaching an excitable puppy not to pee on the carpet. Here's your new favorite mantra. My mind is a noisy parrot with separation anxiety. I don't have to believe everything it squawks at me. Train it patiently, love it reluctantly, laugh at it frequently, and watch, over months and years, as your once chaotic mind becomes a faithful, calm companion instead of a drunk raccoon trying to break into your inner peace at 2 a.m. Because in the end, you don't need to fix every thought. You just need to remember who's actually holding the keys. And hint, it's not the parrot. Part 7. Get comfortable being the villain in other people's stories. Somewhere out there, right now, you are the villain in someone's badly written life story. You didn't mean to be. Maybe you said no to a favor. Maybe you spoke a truth they weren't ready to hear. Maybe you simply existed in a way they couldn't control. And guess what? They still made you the dragon anyway. I once had a friend who loved muffins more than life itself. One day, I unknowingly took the last blueberry muffin at a cafe. He didn't say a word at the time, smiled, laughed. Fast forward 3 years. He tells someone at a party, I never really trusted him after that muffin incident. It told me everything I needed to know. 3 years. Over a muffin. I was cast as the selfish traitor in a saga I didn't even audition for. And the best part? I couldn't change the script even if I wanted to. Here's the liberating, slightly wicked realization. You are going to be misunderstood. You are going to be miscast. You are going to be resented. And none of it is your job to fix. Once you make peace with being the villain in other people's self-centered fairy tales, you get back all the energy you used to waste on over-explaining yourself, apologizing for things you didn't do, shrinking your life to avoid hurting delicate feelings. Instead, you move on. Whistling, laughing, eating the damn muffin without guilt. In Buddhist philosophy, we learn that everyone views reality through the stained glass of their own mind. If their mind is cloudy with fear, insecurity, jealousy, they will paint you as a villain, no matter how gently you act. You could donate a kidney to someone, and they'd still complain that you didn't wrap it nicely enough. And here's the ultimate punchline. Their drama is their karma, not yours. Their stories about you aren't even really about you. They're about their inability to control the uncontrollable, your autonomy, your truth, your refusal to fit inside their tiny little boxes. Next time someone misjudges you, 1. Bless them silently. Wish them peace from afar, like throwing confetti into the wind. 2. Refuse to defend yourself. Defense invites arguments. Silence invites inner strength. 3. Own your freedom. Accept that being misunderstood is the cost of living honestly. And it's a bargain, if you ask me. Bonus, when someone acts awkward around you because of some imagined offense, smile warmly and think to yourself, I see the dragon costume still fits. How flattering. Here's your final medicine for today. No matter how kind you are, someone will always tell the story where you're the wicked witch, the heartless ogre, the ungrateful dragon. Let them. Let them gather around their sad little campfires and tell their scary stories about you. You'll be too busy living your actual life, drinking coffee, loving fiercely, laughing loudly, and occasionally stealing the last muffin. Because you can. And because honestly, villains have more fun anyway. Part 8. Celebrate how little you actually control. It's hilarious. Modern life will sell you a lie that you can control your future, that you can guarantee safety, that if you just try harder, worry more, micromanage perfectly, everything will go your way. Spoiler alert, you control almost nothing. And here's the dark, hilarious, liberating truth. That's actually the best news you'll hear all year. A man I once knew, we'll call him Gerald, planned his retirement party for 6 months. The perfect cake, the perfect playlist, the perfect speech. On the big day, it rained sideways. Half the guests got lost. The microphone broke. The cake was accidentally delivered to a mortuary across town. At first, Gerald stood there devastated, fists clenched like a tragic Shakespearean hero. Then something amazing happened. He burst out laughing. Real, shoulder-shaking, snot-bubbling laughter. Because in that moment, he finally saw it. He was never in charge to begin with. He was just a surfer trying to ride the madness without swallowing too much seawater. It was the best party of his life. Because he finally joined life's chaos instead of trying to out-organize it. When you give up the fantasy of control, your anxiety shrinks, your joy expands, your life gets a lot funnier. Suddenly, you're not the stressed-out wedding planner of your destiny. You're the delighted guest, showing up every morning wondering what absurdities life will serve for breakfast. And yes, sometimes it's burnt toast. Sometimes it's champagne. Either way, you eat, you laugh, you live. Buddhism teaches that attachment, especially to control, is the root of suffering. You thought you were piloting a sleek spaceship through a dignified universe? No, darling. You are strapped into a rickety carnival ride operated by a half-asleep teenager named Karma. The ride goes up, the ride goes down. Sometimes you lose your hat, sometimes you throw up on your shoes. You didn't cause it. You can't predict it. You can only laugh, hold on, and maybe keep your arms inside the vehicle. The ones who suffer the most are the ones who scream, "This ride should be different." The wise ones? They throw their hands up and laugh until their ribs hurt. Here's your new lifestyle plan. 1. Catch yourself trying to control. Notice when you're tensing up, trying to fix everything. 2. Say this mantra. Ah, there's my adorable little dictator again. 3. Release the grip. Breathe. Shrug. Let the ride happen. Bonus move, next time something stupid, annoying, or unfair happens, celebrate it. Yes, celebrate it. Say, of course. Why wouldn't the elevator break today? Perfect timing, universe, you sly fox. Sarcastic acceptance is still acceptance. And it's a hell of a lot healthier than rage fainting in a parking lot. You don't control the weather. You don't control other people's moods. You don't even fully control what your knees will feel like tomorrow morning. And somehow, you're still here. Still laughing, still breathing, still loving. That's not a failure. That's a miracle wearing dirty shoes. So stop trying to script the movie. You're not the director. You're the weird, lovable extra dancing badly in the background and somehow stealing the whole show anyway. And frankly, you were never more powerful than the moment you started laughing along with the madness. At the end of it all, it's not about staying calm so you look enlightened. It's about surviving the strange carnival of life without losing your hat or your sense of humor. Today you learned how to stop letting toddler emotions drive your soul off a cliff, how to smile at insults like a sly, compassionate wizard, how to stop craving applause from a crowd that forgot why they were clapping, and, best of all, how to be the villain in someone's story and enjoy it. If any of these tiny truths made you laugh, breathe easier, or think, go ahead and click like. It's like tossing a flower onto the monastery steps. Share this video if you know someone still arguing with pigeons. Subscribe to help us reach 1,000 quiet rebels, because the world needs more people who can laugh, forgive, and flow without needing to win every stupid battle. Until next time, stay weird, stay wise, and remember, you're already freer than you think. You just have to stop arguing with the river. From all of us here at Buddhist Wisdom for the Elderly, thank you for sitting at the fire with us today.